Those days I used to say I would never grow older. Before the pain took me away, I never had a chance to hold her. I wish I could have seen the bright lights of your city. I wish I could have stayed.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Yes, I'm uploading again and it's crazy, and it's part of the reason I'm doing this video because mental health, it needs to be talked about more in our society, and it's part of the reason I went MIA for like a month or a few months. I tried to squeeze in every little bit I could when I was feeling at my absolute worst. So today I'm going to talk about my experience with how disappointing the mental health industry is and how the mental health industry has treated me, and what my condition is and how it feels to me and how I feel other people view me. So if you're interested, keep on watching.
So afraid things are different now. I have changed.
If you're new here, my name is Lex Morningstar, and this channel is about one of the 16 MBTI personality types, INFP, which is what I am, but I am also talking about mental health because it is absolutely vital. After I had Scarlet, I developed postpartum depression and anxiety. I didn't really have any support around me during this time. Didn't know that I had postpartum depression. Looking back, I do know that I did because I experienced it again with my youngest, Oscar. When he was 5 months old, boom, it hit me again. I ended up with postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. I knew what it was, and I thought, okay, the best thing for me to do is reach out to my community and go to community support groups, and I ended up going to a maternal mental health group where I would be around other mothers who felt like I did, and also received a little bit of counseling there. So it did help. Now, why I had postpartum depression? Well, there is a few different explanations. Some of that could be biological. You're more likely to suffer postpartum depression if someone else in your family had it or has depression, or you experienced depression before you got pregnant. It's also due to hormonal changes. After you give birth, your progesterone and estrogen levels drop, and it can put yourself off kilter. Also, my environment, going from having no children or a smaller family to then expanding it, it can change a lot. And because I'm very sensitive to change, dealing with a new kind of situation can be quite upsetting to me. Not that I never loved being around my kids or love being around my kids, but what I'm meaning more is that any kind of energetic change or change in my circumstance, it can throw me. And I found that I ended up losing my identity through this process. Now, as an INFP, or a 4-wing-5 on the Enneagram, which is what I am, we are the kind of people who hold on to our identity. We define ourselves by our identity and the purpose that we live for. So I found myself and find myself often falling into a void where I lose my identity, otherwise known as losing myself to motherhood. And this is a very widely experienced situation which we don't talk about. And why don't we talk about it? Well, it is because it's taboo in our society. When you become a mother, you commit your livelihood to your role. That's what society paints the picture as, at the very least. Of course, you're not defined by the role. It's just a role that you play in your life. So you're not actually defined by any role that's in your life, whether that be motherhood or a job that you work in or anything of that sort. You play different roles in your life. You are a mother, but you're also a daughter. You're also a grandmother. You're also a sister. You're also a YouTuber. You're also an artist. You're also an accountant. We have so many roles in our lives that make us who we are. So a lot of where women suffer from postpartum depression comes from the societal expectations to define ourselves by the role of motherhood, which can be very entrapping. And especially if you are a stay-at-home parent where you're already isolated and statistically experience more anger, more depression, more frustration, and more sadness than any other kind of parent, whether that be a working parent or someone who has no children. So put both of those things together and you get a recipe for someone like me, someone who has fallen into a major depressive disorder. Now, this has taken 9 years to diagnose. It's taken so long. And the reason being is because I don't get taken seriously by the mental health sector, and it's very frustrating. I have been to countless appointments and they brush me off saying, your case isn't bad enough. I went to the doctors with my social worker a few months ago to see if I could claim subsidized cognitive behavioral therapy. However, the doctor turned me away and said that I am not of Māori ethnicity and my case isn't bad enough to be considered, and basically said, you're just going to have to either pay for it or apply for the disability allowance. I left rather frustrated because I couldn't fathom how the doctor could conclude that my case wasn't bad enough just by meeting me for 5 minutes. And I would assume that it was my demeanor because I'm very good at speaking. When I'm in a professional situation or when I'm sitting down to explain to someone what is going on, I can clearly articulate myself. And I think this goes against one of the symptoms of depression, which is slower speaking. However, there are also individuals out there who have a depressive disorder and who are also highly functioning, such as probably myself some of the time. So it's very frustrating for me to go to a doctor's office and explain to them that I have depression and that it's so debilitating that sometimes I can't even get off the couch. Sometimes I don't shower for a few days. But yet it's not good enough for CBT. And I wish more than anything that my ethnicity wouldn't get brought into whether I can have subsidized CBT or not, because my mind's just like anyone else's, really. And this wasn't just an isolated event. For weeks following this period, my social worker kept putting my case forward into mental health, and they kept either ignoring me. They said that they had tried to call me once and I didn't answer my phone, which that I don't know if that happened or not. I don't remember. I didn't talk to anyone from mental health. And if I was to get subsidized CBT, that I would be on a waiting list for, I think it was about 3 months. We finally managed to get an appointment with mental health for me to sit down and finally get my diagnosis, which is major depressive disorder. I'm not surprised. I always knew it, but it took such a long time. It took from, I guess, the moment my son was born all the way up until now, which is about 2 years, to actually be seen by a psychiatrist and to be diagnosed properly. Around the time of my diagnosis, which would have been about a month ago, my mental health really dropped off. Like, the reason why I have not been uploading to my channel is because I have depression. Now, if you look at the symptoms of depression, such as low mood, pessimism, change in sleep patterns, change in eating patterns, crappy outlook on life, possibly suicidal thoughts, and no interest in doing the activities that you have done before. And that basically is me down to a T. I used to upload to my channel every fortnight, and 3 months ago that just dropped off. And that is because I have been suffering mentally. Over the past month, it's been horrible. Now, I've had a good week this week, but before that, horrible. I have been so bad that I've started having suicidal thoughts. I've been drinking alcohol, so substance abuse. I have self-harmed. I have pushed people away, such as my partner. I would say things to him such as, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve the kids. I just want to run away from everyone. I don't want to be in anyone's life because I don't want to be a burden. Now, it's gotten so bad that the other week I ended up drinking at midday just for no reason, just because I wanted to be in a different environment in my head. And the next day, I could not get off the couch. I couldn't move, and it wasn't because I was hungover. I was feeling fine, but I didn't take my daughter to school because I couldn't bear to be around anyone. And I spent all day crying. And there were many days of me just crying, like every day, feeling what is the point in carrying on like this? And feeling immense amount of guilt because my kids were seeing this. And I'm thinking, how could I do this to them? And I don't deserve to have them, and I need to get away. And it transferred into suicidal thoughts. When I was drinking, I was counting how many Ativan that I had left. And that concerns me. It concerned me. And I knew, oh my gosh, mental health needs to take me seriously. Like, this is just getting ridiculous. My mother-in-law ended up making an appointment with the crisis team, to which I went there with my partner. And so the crisis team member who saw me basically told me, oh, you just need to be more supportive of your partner and just adapt to your role in motherhood, and your time will come, and just find a hobby. Basically, to sum it up, really. How do you come to that conclusion? So my partner and I left, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but I knew that it was absolutely ridiculous, because I went in there thinking that I was going to go to Respite, which is a place for people who are suffering with their mental illness and just need a break from life. That's what I wanted. I just wanted a place to go where I could just push the reset button. But no one took me seriously, even after everything that's been going on. I'm like, no. I'm going to go to Respite. Like, this is ridiculous. So I took my social worker. We went back in for another appointment with the crisis team. A new crisis team member came in. I lay it straight out for her. I said, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this anymore. I have had suicidal thoughts, and this is just getting too much. Take me to Respite, please. So it happened, and I finally got to go to Respite. But not only that, I also have subsidized CBT on its way, and I'm also about 2 weeks into taking my medication. So, I'm on the way up and out. I take my health very seriously, and it's just a shame that others don't take me seriously, because I might come across as very articulate and what my social worker likes to call, I'm like an activist, which is kind of a compliment, I guess. I've also been dealing with stigma as well against what I'm going through, which is very frustrating, because depression and other mental illnesses do not define who you are as a person. They do not flaw your character. It's not a character flaw. Depression, in particular, it's just a mood disorder that can be fixed through therapy and medication and other things like mindfulness. And I keep thinking, Lexi is in there. Lexi will be back. I'm just dealing with an illness right now, and there is no shame in it. There's nothing taboo about it. I'm still me. I know that my illness can come across as something that could be a little bit icky, because I experience irritability and angry outbursts, and I cry, and it's like, gosh, it must be so exhausting for people to, especially my support people, to see that. But having support and removing the stigma against my mental illness is what is going to maximize my potential of healing. And that is why I'm standing here today talking to you guys and fighting the stigma against mental illness. I want other people to feel like they can speak about their mental illness and not feel shame by it, because there's nothing shameful about having a mood disorder and experiencing symptoms. Like, yes, they're really debilitating, and you believe certain negative beliefs that aren't true, like you're not good enough for the people around you, but that doesn't make it true. And I want to fight against that. I want to fight against people who look at others with mental illness as someone who has character flaws or that it's a weakness. Because it's not. It's just like having diabetes or asthma. You wouldn't tell someone with a broken leg to just walk it off. It wouldn't work. In fact, it'd make it worse. And it's the same thing with the mental illness. When you push someone away who has depression, it's just confirming what they already believe, that they are not good enough for support or to have friends and family surround them. Society doesn't understand, and there is stigma, and I'm going to be actively working to push certain stigmas away. I'd love for you to come on this journey with me, whether you've followed me for a while or my INFP content, which yes, I will still post, don't you worry, but I know that many of you do experience what I've talked about. So stay tuned for the next video, and I hope you have a really good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you're in the world. I'll see you all again next time. Bye.